Hello, everybody. It's been quite a while since I make a video, but today I wanted to make a short video to encourage those of you who are curious about the observance of the seventh-day Sabbath to study the great controversy, which you can find it on this page. And if you study the book, The Great Controversy, um, particularly chapter 3, you will get an idea of how the Sabbath, the seventh-day Sabbath, its observance was changed from the seventh day of the week to the first day of the week. So if you're interested, um, just study the Great Controversy. It's a very good book, and it's part of a series which is written by Ellen White, which is called the Great Controversy series, and it starts with Patriarchs and Prophets, and then it goes on to Prophets and Kings, then the Desire of Ages, and then finally the Great Controversy. And what the series does is that it covers the entire history, the entire history of the people of God from the very beginning, from creation all the way to the very end of history when Jesus returns to take his people to live with him, and even beyond when the people live with him um, in heaven. And so the great controversy, it begins with um, the fall of Jerusalem, and then it goes on. That's chapter 1. And then chapter 2, it begins, it explains how the people of God began to be persecuted. And then in chapter 3, which is a chapter that I suggested, is a chapter that covers how the errors began to creep in to Christianity in early church history. So I would suggest that you read the first 3 chapters of the Great Controversy, and you will be very enlightened when you study those chapters, and you can read the rest of the book as well because it's very informative. Um, for those of you who are interested in the gift of prophecy in itself, like, what is the gift of prophecy, inspiration, you know, um, what does it mean, the gift, where does it come from, etc. In the very first book of the series that I mentioned, which is called Patriarchs and Prophets, there's the introductory chapter. It speaks about the gift of prophecy, and so I would also suggest that you study that um that that chapter, or the introduction to Patriarchs and Prophets, and it you will be informed, very informed also, as to where the gift of prophecy comes from. What does it mean? You know, is it applicable for our time, etc. So I would suggest that you read that as well. So I hope that what the content that is I'm being that it's being shared on this page, I hope that it's helping, and I hope that it'll help you to grow spiritually. And so please consider the content and study it, because the whole aim is the spiritual edification and growth of every one of us. So may God richly bless you, and may He be with you as you continue to search for Him in spirit and in truth. Blessing from God from above.